Welcome to my backyard. Right behind me is a beautiful blossoming nectarine tree. I hope you enjoy it while I talk. Today I'd like to share with you one of my favorite topics, and that topic is Dr. Stephen R Covey. What a wonderful man he was, and I had such a wonderful, great opportunity to work with him for some 25 years. I'm not going to share with you a biography today, just a few insightful memories. Some things that I learned from him and experienced with him. And today I'm going to talk about how it all came about, and in future sessions I'll give you more details on some insights. Now, how it all started. Well, I learned his name by reading some books that he had published. One was called The Divine Center, and the other one is The Spiritual Roots of Human Relations. So I saw him for the first time through religious values, through spiritual values. And then later on in life, I learned about the training programs and the books and services he was creating for companies all throughout all this world. So I read his books, knew his name well, but never saw him or met him in my younger years. But in the 1970s, Stephen Covey was working at Brigham Young University. He graduated from Harvard, and I was going to school down at Brigham Young University, Hawaii campus. And at that time, Stephen Covey took a sabbatical leave. And in this sabbatical, he decided to go down to Hawaii, to the Brigham Young University, Hawaii campus, and spend a couple of weeks there and learn and study while he was on the campus. And he'd also give some firesides and give some talks and so forth, where the students had an opportunity to get to know him. Well, frankly, I didn't even know he was coming to campus, and I was walking across campus one day, and this little Honda motorcycle came driving by, and on it was a bald man with a shiny head and a woman sitting on the back, sitting side saddle on it. And I thought, wow, that couple looks happy. And then I realized it was Stephen Covey. And I learned after I got over to the language training mission where I worked that he was going to be giving a presentation that week at our language training mission where I was a teacher. I was really excited. I was going to have an opportunity possibly to meet this man because there would be a small group of teachers there. So I went to that meeting that evening with high expectations and was very excited to possibly shake this man's hand. And as I went and listened to him, he gave a fantastic presentation. I was so impressed, and I felt so uplifted, and I felt so good about how it aligned with my values, aligned with who I wanted to become and what I wanted to do. And the thoughts and ideas he shared were just tremendous. I was so stirred by it. And then I said to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful to work with a man like him someday? And I thought about it. I said, that would be nice. But then I just said, nah, I don't think that'll happen. I'm sure he's got other plans and he's got other people and so forth. And I don't even know the man. I did shake his hand before I left. And as I left, the little voice said to me, he's your friend. You could work with him someday. And I was so impressed with what he had said to me. And I fell asleep that night pondering upon making my career what I wanted to do in the future, doing things like Stephen Covey would teach, and that's teaching other people. You see, he was so good at teaching these principles in the university that the students would join a company, and in that company would invite him to come out and teach the principles and concepts at his company, their company. And so he was a professor, but at the same time he's traveling out on these business trips. And someone in the community noticed that he was doing this, and they said, if we could capture Stephen Covey on videotape, he wouldn't have to travel so much. And so they went to him and proposed, said, Stephen, why don't we put you on videotape create a course around you, and so you wouldn't have to travel so much. And he really liked that idea. And so he decided to start a business. At the same time, believe it or not, I was in a new entrepreneurial situation in Salt Lake City. I was living in Ogden, and I was doing some business with a friend of mine, Glade Tuckett. He came to my office one day, and he said, "Did you hear that Stephen Covey may start a company?" I said, "Wow, I would love to work with him. In fact, I give my eye teeth to join with him." And about 30 to 60 days later, Glade Tuckett called me and says, "Pull your teeth, pull them." And that meant the teeth right here. These are the strong teeth that give the mouth strength. And of course, he wasn't suggesting literally that I pull them, and he was saying to me, "Roice, he's starting the company and I found a position for you." And so I went to the office where Glade was, and I found out how Glade had found this out. Glade had rented an office right next to theirs, and every day would go in and say, "Is there some way that we can help you?" And what they needed help with was sales. So he knew that I knew sales, and so I joined on the sales team with him, and that's where it all began. There I was, traveling at that time. I'd traveled 2.5 hours a day, back and forth from where I lived to go help this operation start up. Was one of the founding members, and it felt so good to be working on a mission that I really, really enjoyed. And it matched mine, it matched what I wanted to do. And here's this tremendous man, Stephen Covey, that is teaching those principles and concepts that I felt would be very valuable for other people to learn. And the spiritual whisperings that I had and the affirmations I had internally were tremendous, and I became bonded to that organization. I could see myself doing nothing else for the rest of my life. What an inspirational man he was. And time went by, and I learned so many things, and there were so many opportunities. I traveled to over 70 countries, approximately 100 countries in fact. Taught in many countries, helped many people to become associated with this. And I remember one day when we were just starting, we said, "Well, if we grow this company real big one of these days, maybe we could do $10 million in business." And we all said, "Oh, maybe that's too much." Well, I remember one year we made $700 million in one year. And it had grown to that size. Now, I'm not suggesting that your business has to grow to 700 million. But by following the right principles, getting the right people, you can grow your business. In fact, people have come to me, they said, "Roice, what did you do at Covey to make it such a success? What was it that you people did?" And I found there are 8 things that a person can do in order to make their business really successful. The first thing is you need to have capital. You need to have money. And it's important that you have sufficient money to cover the expenses so you can go out there and get sales and get the cash flow coming in, which is number 2. But number 1, you need sufficient capital. And there's a rule that I have about capital. Do the best forecasting you can. Look at all the expenses you believe you'll have before you get the cash flow up to where you need it. And really, really do the best planning you can. Come up with a figure and then double that figure, and that will probably be about right what you'll need. You just don't know what's going to happen, the changes that you'll make and so forth. So get sufficient capital. Then get a cash flow. And the cash flow you want to get is something that will consistently give you cash. Day in and day out, it'll give you the cash you need. The next thing is make sure that you conserve your capital, make it go as far as you can so you can get that revenue going. So the balance between revenue generation and that conserving the capital, which is number 3, is really vital to you. And watch your expenses. Believe it or not, we worked for several months without even handing in expense reports, which would violate many common practice, good practices in accounting. And we started to get behind, and things became very tight, and it was tough on us. It was tough on Stephen. It was very challenging to get it launched. Number 4, build a database, a strong database of people. Gather the names, because People will change over time, and the ones that say no now will say yes in the future as they get to know you. Number 5, stay focused. Don't let all of the challenges get to you. And you know what will happen is people will come to you with all these ideas. They'll come to you with these, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Help me, do you do this and do that? And it takes you off of focus. But you do have to have enough flexibility that if there is a good idea that comes up that helps you to achieve your objective, that you have the flexibility to have that join in with you. So that's number 5, stay focused. Number 6, pick a winning team. The number 1 most important asset in your company is the people. Get the good people to join with you. We were lucky enough that people were somewhat self-selecting. They'd hear about what we were doing, they'd come and want to work with us. And many times we find they were excellent people. And we found great synergy in our team, and we attribute the growth that we had to that single fact of picking a winning team. And number 7, this will sound obvious to you, but it's sell to the marketplace, sell to the people what they want to buy. Not what you think you have, but what you have that they want. Now sometimes they don't know that they need it or want it until you sell it to them properly. But if you're having a hard time selling it to them properly, you're probably not selling them what they want. So be easy on yourself, sell what the people want. And then number 8, build a strong business model. Now, a business model to me is a set of processes and systems that work together to produce high results. So build a business model that will give you those results that you want. One of the things that we learned is you couldn't just throw a person at a problem and have it fit into the system, because many times the system or process they would develop would be counter to someone else, or would be duplicating, or wouldn't get the job done. So hire people to implement the processes and systems that you create, and then your business can grow and develop. These are just 8 concepts that I found that were important. So just in summary, let me say this. The insight I had is, once I started working with a great man, I started to change my life for the better. Work with people that can stimulate you to grow, that will help you to build, and help you build a strong future. Number 2, the insight I had, don't underestimate your capabilities. When you see a dream, when you feel a spiritual inspiration, follow it. Go see what it's all about, because it may lead you to a place that is very, very good in your life. And certainly I found that with myself. And the next thing is, make sure as you work with people that you constantly take care of them as they take care of you. Stephen Covey was tremendous at taking care of my needs and the organization around him. I hope you found some words of insight or usefulness in the things that I've said today. I look forward to seeing you in the future. I hope you'll take a look at our products and services that we have, and that you'll use those to help you achieve what matters most in your life. Thank you.